Okay. I'm like, I have no idea what to expect out of these two. I thought normally what I would expect is going to be a macro game. But at the same time, these two players, they know each other, I feel like, fairly well, right? They're not unfriendly to one another, I'm pretty sure. So maybe some shenanigans, right, could be coming out of them. And we're seeing that from SCARLETT already. A spawning pool first here coming into play. We'll be looking for that drone. Yeah. Making it a bit tricky for SCARLETT to grab that hatchery right now, but at the same time keeping that probe away from the main base. Doesn't look like HARSTEM is all that confused though. Seems like he was pretty aware of what was going on. Or at least the potential of something like that going on. Keeping the money of the pylon in the pocket. He knows that Zergling's coming, so if he lets that pylon finish, it's most likely going to die pretty quickly anyway. Just wants to be annoying as possible here and make sure that he has enough money for his wall and units back at home. Ooh, even putting down another pylon here. This is going to get frustrating. Oh, wow, he's sticking to it. I don't think you should do it again here, HARSTEM, but almost felt like he was going to go for it. That's 100 minerals. Yeah, that's pretty much the amount of money that the one pylon would have been. But now he's also going to lose the probe, most likely. I guess it does keep the Zerglings just out of your space overall for a very long time, though, right? It's taken them a lot longer to actually get to this point in the wall. Or near the wall of HARSTEM, even. So yeah, that's a positive thing. That's a positive thing. You know, not having to worry about microing that zealot as much, and whether or not the Zerglings are actually going to get in, and everything is just going to get blown out of the water because, well, the zealot just slightly missed the timing there, and the Zergling just managed to wiggle its way by, as they do, you know, they do eat a lot of butter. They are quite greasy animals. Couple of adepts looking for an entryway. SCARLETT, so far, she's been very well on top of all of this. We have another cancel come in, yeah. Oracle follow-up coming through for HARSTEM. As he's securing a third base behind this as well. Starting to get established, that is. I guess the Oracle, in a sense, is securing the third base as well, right? It applies pressure across the map. If the Zerglings do try to go across the Oracle, a great way to deal with those. Just got to make sure you have some energy. And a second Oracle is a great way to kind of ensure that you have best of both. 2 Queen Stones seemingly sufficient. Especially with that positioning to deal with the Oracle. Excuse me. It's like SCARLETT knew where that Oracle was coming from. And so far, yeah. Both players have been on top of their defense. Neither of them suffering damage, but neither of them really running away with the game because of this. I guess SCARLETT in a little bit of a better position, right? It's less likely that the Zerg doesn't take damage than the Protoss. As the Protoss, you kind of want to do that bit of damage to stop your opponent from just droning up like an absolute madman. SCARLETT here. Now, you know what? It's starting to feel a little bit safe. So we are starting to approach the maddening drones. With 11 on the production queue right now. Ooh. Does get that transformed into an evo chamber quickly enough. Alright. Twilight Council now for HARSTEM here is the next step. Plus one weapon upgrades as well coming in, and a couple of gateways. I'm not sure the entire count of the gateway numbers, but let's see what that Twilight Council is going to be doing. Is he just going to go for the Templar Archive, Star Shrine, or is he actually going to get himself an upgrade like Glaives? I don't think he will at this point anymore, right? Sometimes you do still see like a weird adept timing trying to catch your opponent off guard. Okay, it's going to be charged. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is what I imagined. You know, you try to hype up something else because it's you know, the thought of it is hyping you up overall. A brazen attempt here by the Dutchman. Imagine if it works, you know, that's kind of the thing. It's nothing like it though, of course, as we're seeing. Just a good old charge log Archon composition here will be a little bit of a sidestep in the army composition of HARSTEM. Although, you know what, there's actually more gateways. 5 more gateways on that production tab. He might start to get quite serious here with pushing this. Will still take a 4th base behind this though. Alright. Lovely. So yeah. Both of them seemingly kind of getting towards a pretty reasonable point in the macro game. We are seeing SCARLETT kind of doing an interesting choice with a bunch of lurkers right now being constructed. Sorry, not lurkers, swarm host being made. And they may need to be used defensively here for a little bit. They're all being scouted out by the oracles as well already, so HARSTEM fully aware of the army composition SCARLETT is possessing right now. And may decide against engaging this place right now. For the time being, it might be dangerous. Might not want to use all your swarmos at once. That is what SCARLETT goes for, though. Army of HARSTEM just moving back. Sensing the Warp Prism, knowing that that won't be bothered by the Locust. And gets himself something here. So the first wave of Locust not really doing anything so far. But we know that sometimes one good wave is all you need to really decide a game. Oh, this is going to be terrible here, actually. SCARLETT overcommitting with the Swarm Host. No Locust wave available still. And it's still not available. It's taking a long time, actually. HARSTEM finishing off a ton of these units right now. Finding a bunch of success. Now has to retreat again as the Locust once again became available. But it's far enough outside of any real Protoss base that, again, this is not going to achieve much of anything. And HARSTEM manages to prevent another wave of Locusts from achieving anything. Just by taking the initiative and trying to make sure that this army of SCARLETT is stuck fighting the army of HARSTEM. Far enough away from the bases so the Locust can't just turn around and focus down a Nexus. And things are getting a bit more difficult to do so for HARSTEM. He is trying to achieve some disruptors behind this army composition, but he is in trouble. This big roach front is kind of going unanswered so far. There we go. That's a good disruptor shot right now. Getting a good connection. A lot of the Locust as well getting shot down. Zealots in a run-by attempt. They are after the drones. Let's see if SCARLETT has enough to really push herself into the 4th base of HARSTEM. It looks like things are falling apart. It looks like, yeah, things are falling apart here a little bit for SCARLETT. Overall, the real heavy weight behind this force now, it seems to be non-existent anymore. Needs to get another wave of those locusts. There it is finally. And again, it seems like that is just not going to achieve anything. Oh, wow. HARSTEM's playing this very well. Very well. Getting great disruptor shots here as well. Just endlessly kind of rotating them out. I wouldn't be surprised if HARSTEM is quite far ahead on the units lost tab overall. Even though he's playing against one of the, you know, supposed to be most cost-efficient units in the game. The unit that spawns 3 units. Bit of a roach sidestep here. A couple of them will be attempting the push forwards. Again, HARSTEM pressuring those locusts spawning machines away. SCARLETT actually losing quite a couple of them on her return journey home. Hive Tech coming up, Lurker Den as well. Setting up for the next evolution of the Zerg chain. HARSTEM, a little bit of a mess up on the charge there, but they'll still secure a clean kill on a queen here. And that is, of course, slowing down production overall for SCARLETT. Still very important to have those bases being injected endlessly. To have the larvae to re-max as quickly as you can. There we go. HARSTEM is entering Zerg territory here. Does manage to once again force those locusts out in a defensive manner. It's playing extremely well, I have to say. I'm thoroughly impressed with HARSTEM here. Oh, little misstep there though. His army on move command. Taking a bit of a beating right before the fight is supposed to start. Or right as the fight is supposed to be going on, actually, right? It's a scary place to be overall for HARSTEM. With those locusts could be coming in from the other angle at any point in time. Just trying to stay on top of his disruptor management. Always have one shot available in case your opponent tries to push into you. There we go. Only one roach there. Okay, so SCARLETT, I mean, she's not taking a lot of damage here either, right? She is allowed to kind of get herself into that lurker type of playstyle right now. And it does just seem to me that that is where we're going to inevitably end up. It looks like HARSTEM kind of coming to the same conclusion, and therefore having now carrier production going on. Started up his air weapons and will start preparing to have the next step in line for where these two army compositions will meet. Oh, carrier's already getting scouted by the Overlord. SCARLETT gonna realize that she may need a couple more of those Hydralisk rather than Swarm Host and Roach's Ravagers. Lurkers here now to establish that forefront damage against the Zealots and such. Ooh, great harpoons there from SCARLETT. Grabs a Disruptor and Archon and maybe some other stuff as well. Good Disruptor shot still retaliating that for HARSTEM. And does manage to secure a hatchery kill here in the third base location of SCARLETT. Probably not something that should have happened, considering the amount of forces that were available there for SCARLETT, but at the same time, HARSTEM applying some pressure elsewhere, making it difficult for SCARLETT to defend against this properly. Still looking with a couple of those Swarm Hosts, though. Would be nice to see them finally actually, you know, achieving something, but they have just been absolute dead weight so far in this game, and it's a shame to say, because I really do enjoy Swarm Host. I like the unit design. But yeah, they are just absolutely being outplayed by HARSTEM so far. Seems very capable of handling the swarm host kind of army composition. You have the next step of evolution again coming up here for Zerg, the 2 Spires. Both players casually trying to get themselves to the absolute army compositions that they can. Let's see if Scarlet can show the other Zergs why they don't have to be afraid of the late game. Or if HARSTEM is gonna show the Scarlets why those other Zergs are actually quite scared of going late game versus Protoss at this moment in time. Clearing out this supply here of Roaches and Ravagers is not a bad thing for Scarlet, right? Probably wants to kind of get rid of them right now. Make room for Corruptors. Something that can actually deal with carriers overall really is necessary at this point in time. As that carrier number is growing rather, how do you call it, worrisome rate. An alarming rate, that supply of carriers is growing. Alright, Scarlet looking for a good angle, wants to harpoon as many of those carriers as possible, of course. Ooh, great disruptor shots, getting like 4 lurkers right there. 3 or 4 lurkers. Great connection overall. Carrier does get taken out, but that was an expensive trait there for Scarlet. Now trying to come in from the other side. Great storms on top of the Hydralisk. It looks like this may be going into favor for HARSTEM here. May need to back up a little bit, reclaim some of those interceptors. Oh, hold up, actually. Not sure what was doing damage there. Maybe the Swarm was actually releasing some Locusts and getting rid of some disruptors there. Not bad, not bad. Scarlet hanging on, but by a very thin thread. Let's see. HARSTEM rotating around again. It's just looking more and more overwhelming in his favor through the eyes of the supply. The eyes of the supplies. Yeah, and Scarlet has to realize by now. This does not seem like a battle that is gonna, well, easily turn into a favor. I think we all know the sometimes hatred that Scarlet has for the race of Protoss. Alright, here we go. Another approach. Carriers ready to do battle. Once again, the High Templar there to cover in order to feed back the Vipers. Still one one abduction does take place, but I mean the hatchery again being taken out. Scarlet just being ever so careful. Notice that the win condition right now is not as much in keeping these bases alive rather than just keeping your army alive. Your economy, it's gone, it's gutted. You need to win the game now with this army. So you need to trade absolutely amazingly. Take out the forces of HARSTEM and then suddenly start the snowballing effect into HARSTEM's main base. It's like the best way I could see this going for Scarlet here, because you know, if she just takes out the army and then goes after 1 or 2 bases, HARSTEM's gonna have more than enough, like another army again setting up in his home base, and yeah, that would be a waste. Need to get on top of those production facilities at this point in time, I would say. Careful there. The lurkers are supposed to zone away, I should say. Zone away the High Templar. The High Templar want to zone away the Vipers. The Vipers want to have clear access to the carriers, of course, and the disruptors in order to just yoink them away. But yeah. It's Very, very interesting type of kind of movements that you're getting to see now because of this, right? Neither of the players really wanting to commit. Both of them just kind of hoping that their opponents will overstep slightly with some of those important units so they can get the trade they want. While HARSTEM, though, as he's maneuvering for that position, he's also managing to take down a ton of bases. Right now, the Lurkers for SCARLETT, they are going in there, committing hard, trying to go for a final hurrah, hopefully taking out this army. She realized this is just too much. I'm losing so incredibly much. I need to win this battle right here, right now. And it's just not going to happen. GG is called. HARSTEM there. Things to look out for here mostly, right? A little bit later in the game will be whether or not SCARLETT is going to grab herself a lot of queens. And that could be the indicator that we are going to see that attempted push out with the Queen Roach Ravager kind of army composition. Another thing to watch out for is, of course, whether or not those queens are spreading creep in every which way direction or just in the one direction straight to HARSTEM's front door. Another thing that could quite quickly indicate what the intentions are here. For HARSTEM, I think we're going to see something very standard, right? He is a player that likes to do the macro. He's somewhat like the smaller fence for the Protoss players, but then it's the Dutchman instead of the German. That will be the wall. To be fair, maybe a fence is like underselling it. It's like an electrified fence, maybe, right? Something like that. Maybe we can call him the electrified fence. Which, you know what? If we were calling the wall in the Mauer in German, then let me see. Elektrisch Hek, that would be his name. Elektrisch Hek. No, wait, I'm not sure if that would be. Oh, Schokven. Schokhek? No, wait. I forgot Dutch. I forgot how Dutch works, guys. It's my main language, but who knows? How would you call that? Schokdraad. Schokdraad. Hey, there we go. Came back to me. Schokdraad. It's supposed to be a fence, but we call it a wire for some reason. That's why it had me confused. An electric fence, and then it becomes a shock wire. Well, anyway, Twilight Council here for the shock wire. Grabbing himself a couple of extra gateways, and there it is, the Adept Glaives. Could be a tricky thing to make work with somebody going for a lot of queens right now. There's also quite a couple of Zerglings being produced. It seems like SCARLETT. You know what, overall, I like her position. She's making maybe a few too many drones now. We need to no longer see drones on the production tab. At least no extra. Ooh, we are seeing still a couple. Okay, please no more after that. Although, you know what? HARSTEM is taking the third base, isn't he? Wait a moment. That could be the fake out overall. How many gateways does he have? Does he only have 3? Okay, then this might be okay for SCARLETT. Does he really only have 3? Hold up. He's still building probes. Alright, yeah, okay. Then it's okay for SCARLETT, I would say. Yeah, then this is the right call. SCARLETT, I mean, I see everything, but you're still making better decisions than I am. Still making better decisions than I am. Alright, Adept's moving on forwards there, shading towards the area where the creep is going. There's a whole bunch of queens now. Roaches in production as well. Very, very difficult for HARSTEM to make anything work here. He probably just wants to retreat right now, seeing that this is coming at him. It's a Dark Shrine being constructed, and this, well, this push of queens, it's gonna march. It's gonna start marching. The Adepts trying to hold it backwards slightly. They might be able to delay the Roaches and Zerglings that way, right? Just forcing the shade, forcing all those units to keep moving backwards. Maybe then HARSTEM's gonna have a fight where he's mainly just dealing with queens on the forefront. One Void Ray will not be enough to make that fight go his favor, though. Let's see, Adept still forcing a lot of the Scarlet units to stay back at home. Will it be enough though? This is a big push coming through. Scarlet wanting to secure the 1-to-1 and getting that ace match right here, right now. Will it be achieved? A lot of damage already being sustained here as the probes get slaughtered on their way out of that evacuation room. That little base right there, no longer a safe harbor for any Witch Protoss force. The Adepts do manage to find their way into those mineral fields though, and now the DTs on top of the Queens and Ravagers. Overseer hastily tries to come in to remedy that situation. The DTs did manage to do a little bit of damage overall already on the army, but I don't think it may be enough. Scarlet here still with a very, very strong force, and now with the Overseer there as well. I'm not so sure HARSTEM has a good response. 20 army supply versus 60. Force fields land pretty reasonably, but unfortunately, even so, there's just not enough here for HARSTEM to start cleaning this up. The Cyber Core goes down, the Gateway goes down. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we're going to have ourselves a game number 5, as these two teams, they are made to fight one another, and neither of them will be allowing their player to go down 2-0, and every single one of them putting up an absolutely brilliant fight so far. Scarlet, the end times of HARSTEM, just kind of going over the game, I suppose, in its head. There we go.